As the sum of each generation before it, the next generation Corvette stands alone as the new standard of precision and performance, of engineering and technology, of everything that makes an icon, and a Corvette, a Corvette.
We've had customers asking us for a long time for a DCT.
The DCT stands for dual clutch transmission.
In a traditional car, while you're shifting, the car is actually decelerating because the engine is not connected to the wheels. So we said we needed a bespoke transmission, custom designed for this car, because we have engines that produce massive amounts of torque, so the DCTs that are on the shelf wouldn't stand the Corvette duty cycle.
The transmission team worked with the chassis team to fit the transmission into a package that allowed us to essentially lower the center of gravity, which helps in overall performance.
A dual clutch transmission is effectively two manual gearboxes that have clutches actuated by computers on a concentric shaft. So what that really means is you've got a shaft that has your even forward gears, 2, 4, 6, 8, and your odd gears, 1, 3, 5, 7. And you can simultaneously be disengaging one shaft while you're engaging the other one. So it's quicker than a human being could shift a manual transmission. This way you get the lightning fast, less than 100 milliseconds shift when you need it. We've also found that during very aggressive launches, we can actually drive torque through both shaft clutches simultaneously. So you'll be on an upshift, engaging third gear, but still driving torque through second as you're engaging third. This actually improves the 0 to 60 performance of the car beyond what you could achieve in a manual transmission.
That engine is paired to our first 8-speed dual-clutch transmission, or DCT. This features a very innovative electronic transmission range selector, a masterpiece of engineering art and design that will become a benchmark for the industry. The DCT provides lightning-fast shifts and excellent power transfer. Simply put, the DCT shifts gears faster and better than any human can. It offers the spirited and connected feel of a manual and the premium driving comfort in an automatic. It truly feels like you're getting the best of both worlds. We've set the DCT up with a very low first gear to leverage our additional traction at the rear to get the car off the line very quickly. Gears 2 through 6 are closely spaced and keep the engine near the power peak on the track. Its tall 7th and 8th gears make for easy long-distance cruising with low mechanical stress and excellent fuel economy. The LT2 engine and the DCT, in combination with this new architecture, make the new Stingray a very quick car. We are seeing 0 to 60 times under 3 seconds. You heard that right. Z51 Stingray under 3 seconds. That puts the Stingray in the company of some of the world's quickest cars.
A vehicle like the Corvette has very demanding track requirements, so we need a world-class lubrication system. A conventional vehicle has a passive system where oil that's distributed through the engine passively drains back from the various places of the engine and is ultimately collected in the oil pan. In a dry sump system, the oil is actively harvested by scavenge pumps and forcibly pumped from the engine out to an external reservoir. At high engine speeds, every time an engine rotates, the gas wind velocities in the crankcase will actually exceed 100 miles per hour. That tornado of wind causes the oil to froth.
when you have a drive subsystem. It also gives you confidence that you can take the inertial loads that you encounter on a track, the oil sloshing around in turns or overheaves, and really make sure that you can maintain oil pressure at the critical lubrication points in the engine while you're really working it hard and really working it hot. The reason we made it standard in this generation car is it allowed us to lower the engine and transmission as low as possible, and this really lowers the center of gravity of the car, which helps in handling.
That lower position enables us to mount directly to the new DCT transaxle to have direct alignment for us to take the energy from the engine and transmit it directly through the transmission into the rear axle. Corvette never disappoints. All your worries go away with one strike of the accelerator pedal.
Electronic limited slip differential, or ELSD, was in the previous generation, the C7 Corvette. And so we've taken all that software and kept fine-tuning it and refining it. It's basically like a clutch between the two rear wheels. So we can open that up and then they can roll independently. So if you're going around a corner and the car is super agile, if you connect it up, the wheels don't want to turn at a different speed, so then the car kind of plows straight forward. We've got this giant bandwidth there to tune and to make the car feel right in all these different conditions. The other thing that the ELSD software does is it brings in tire temperatures from the tire pressure sensor system, and it tells the ELSD, hey, we're in the cold condition right now, we're in the winter, or it's really hot, we're in the summer, so we can tune the performance around the actual temperature of the tires. Corvette should inspire confidence in the driver, and that's what I bring with our tuning of the diff, is to make the driver comfortable, make the driver want to drive harder on the next lap and the next lap and the next lap.
It's an interesting bit of history to look back and see how we decided to move away from our comfort zone and started working on a mid-engine car. I think a lot of the leadership thought we want to go to mid-engine because it's cool, because the most exotic sports cars in the world were mid-engine, but actually we were doing it because we felt like we were reaching the limit of our performance capability in the architectures that we had, and so we had to do something to move that forward. We put together the compelling arguments why it would make sense to at least study. We ended up presenting to a lot of top leadership to get a critical mass of them on board to say, you know what, these guys might be onto something.
When I first heard that they were gonna make the new Corvette mid-engine, really it was a game changer.
The easiest way to describe it in a single word would be frightening. It's a daunting responsibility. We've had such success, and here we are making this fundamental shift in the car that if we don't do right, we potentially do something terrible to this great legacy of a brand.
We're bordering on 70 years of this vehicle. So you have this lineage to it that you have to maintain, but you also have to be willing to grow and take it further.
From a design standpoint, the vehicle had to be incredibly beautiful, and at the end of the day, when you step back and look at it, it has to say Corvette.
Everything's backwards on a mid-engine car. You can't move one thing in the inside of the car without affecting a whole bunch of other things. When you put the engine in the back, you actually want to think about moving stuff forward. So to get the right amount of weight on the front, you actually have to move those front wheels rearward. From the driver's perspective, having less weight on the front wheels means you need less boost in the steering, which means more tactile feedback, so more direct steering. You're not sitting out in the periphery and the car rotates about a point distant from you. The car is rotating about you, and that's a very different driving experience.
With the mid-engine attributes, you'd have the rear weight bias from the engine for better acceleration, performance, and track times, as well as the low forward cowl for excellent visibility, and the lighter front, which really makes the car fun to drive.
That helps for driver confidence. It helps to get the car around the track safer and faster. Corvette prides itself on being a very light, very stiff vehicle, and we from the beginning said we want to take the Corvette formula and apply all that goodness to a mid-engine architecture. We didn't want to fall into the trap where the car gets hard to drive. And that's been the problem we've been working to solve for the last 14 years.
What we've developed is a car that really delivers that sort of balance between delivering a modern sports car driving experience and yet delivers the comfort, isolation, and the ability to drive the car on almost any road in any weather.
When we finally got to the track, I just burst out laughing because it was like, oh my God, that's what we wanted. You come into corner, you hard brake, you whip the wheel around, it turns on a dime, and then you can get right on the gas, and it's just so easy to drive. You could write a book about what Corvette means to all different segments of society. Corvette is an emotional driving experience. No matter who you are in life, when you get into a Corvette, you're a superhero.
The Z51 is a performance package that takes the goodness of the Stingray road car and elevates it to a hardcore racetrack beast. The Z51 package includes a lot of performance-enhancing items, like tires that are more racetrack-oriented, brakes are larger, we add a Z51-specific front splitter and a Z51-specific spoiler. The electronic limited slip differential is a huge performance enabler, and it goes on and on. Seeing the Z51 package at work is amazing because we've already exceeded where the current car is. We've got the Z51 now to a level where we're in new territory for the car. We're positioned to rock the world with this one.
On the steering wheel, you will see a Z button. This activates Z mode, which comes from the factory programmed as a more aggressive performance-oriented driver setting. You can think of it as going somewhere between sport and track. It can also be customized to a more personal preference. The complexity of driving and performance variables that can be recalled easily with the push of a button is astounding. Every aspect of the vehicle's track performance that you can adjust, from steering feel to throttle control, you name it, is right there, literally, at your fingertips.
Replay and relive your best moments behind the wheel. Your Corvette may be equipped with a Performance Data Recorder, or PDR. There are a lot of do's and don'ts regarding when it's safe and legal to use the PDR. Refer to your owner's manual for those. We'll just be going over how to use it.
You can record video, audio, the data from the car, speed, G-forces, accelerator, brake. You have a record of what you did. You can show your friends and really help yourself learn how to become a better driver.
Insert a Class 10 SD card that's 16 gigabytes or larger into the card reader in the glove box.
And there's a PDR icon on the menu. Push that so you can keep recording until you're ready to stop, and you hit the button to stop recording, and then you have it on that SD card.
The recording must be stopped and the file closed before removing the SD card, or the recording may be lost. Touch Video Overlay to display the menu screen. Touching Preview provides a live preview of the overlay selected. Choose what information you want displayed over your video. None won't display data, but that data is still available with the video when it's accessed in the Toolbox software. Sport displays speed, RPM, current gear, left and right G-forces, and an event odometer. Track displays the same data as Sport, as well as a GPS tracking map for known routes, lap times, and more. The system can even learn tracks and circuits with your help. Timing displays 0 to 60 times and other speed and distance milestones, as well as lap timings and more. The recording of a driving session is adjustable. You can choose to record audio if you like, and you can set up automatic recording to begin whenever the vehicle is in the run power mode. You may also set it to record when the vehicle is in valet mode for added peace of mind.
It's a great tool, not just to brag to your friends about what you can do, but also teach you to be a better driver. So after you get back from the track, you can compare lap times, you can compare corner speeds. It's really a very powerful tool for making you a better driver and getting the most performance out of your Corvette.
You think of a car like the mid-engine Corvette and performance cars in general, the expectation for what that car is set so high by the exterior. And as the interior design team, you really want to deliver on that promise.
We wanted to take the interior kind of the next step beyond what we've done before.
This time now you're literally sitting in that cockpit. The controls are wrapping around you in all directions.
So I think this car takes that to the next level. It really surrounds you.
Once you reset the engine to the middle of the car, that changes everything from an interior perspective.
From a front engine, you have a sense that you're behind the front wheels as you turn. And with a mid-engine, you're right close, almost on top of the wheels, and you're more leading the way as you proceed forward in the mid-engine vehicle.
It enables you, if you work really hard, to get exceptional forward visibility. You know, something where you have unlimited view.
It really allowed us to push the hood low, push the windshield touchdown extremely low, and that really set up an interior position that had these great open sight lines compared to where you normally have an engine out in front of you. So we wanted to make sure that wheel wasn't obscuring it in any way.
Now we have flats on the bottom and on the top, creating a roughly rectangular opening that gives you a perfect view of the widescreen reconfigurable display that we have behind there. One thing we're really proud of is our electronic transmission range select, what you normally think of as the lever that goes from park, reverse, neutral, drive.
We kept going back to, if it was something that you had to stop and think about and look down, it was a failure.
The challenge with electronic controls is how do you make them feel mechanical? How do you make them feel real? So we came up with a really unique geometry that can be felt like it's Braille. It's extremely intuitive. And now you have a very modern, sleek center console that actually frees up more space for the things you're carrying with you.
These little details are what make it feel special. You know, you want to have the customer open the door and really have something that maybe they weren't expecting. And then you realize this thing can only be a Corvette, but it feels like no Corvette you've ever been in before.
For us, the cars are so fast, the aerodynamics are really a safety issue. It's not like you can just pen any design and then just apply it over the rest of the body.
So doing thumbnail sketches, early ideas, it helps us understand the lay of the land more or less, you know, the opportunities that we have within the aerodynamics of this car.
When you look at the new mid-engine Stingray, you can see the effect of aircraft design. Lean, purposeful surface development, and in particular, the aerodynamic aspect. In terms of the three elements that play a part in that. Drag, of course, that's the efficiency of air going over the surface. Cooling, and then downforce, keeping the vehicle stable.
Those fundamentals were real important at the beginning. And once you nail those down, then it kind of gets into more of the sculpture of the car.
We see the car evolving. And we have this great process where it's part art, so hand sculpting clay, and part digital math-based design. So we sculpt the car, then we scan it, and then we'll use numerically controlled machines to recut that surface back on the clay. You go back to the sculptors, and they go start finessing the car, change the surfaces, make them blend together the way you want.
We started at the very front of the car. And at the very center of the front of the car is your highest wind velocity.
We don't want a bunch of air under the car because that creates lift. So we have a bunch of air dams.
This next car will have a hybrid rear spoiler that touches down in the middle and then flows air under it on the outboard corners. Developing the aerodynamics, there are things that we do so that we can see the cause and the effect.
The Corvette has heat exchangers tucked away behind all of the openings. The air runs down the side of the car, and then we actually pump that air through the engine compartment, and it's evacuated through the rear wheel openings underneath the car and through vents that we have added to the hatch. It doesn't look like there's any fat in the car at all. All the surfaces are pulled as taut as possible over the mechanicals underneath. And that gives the car a real dynamic energy, something that draws people to it visually.
Almost everything is new about this car, and of course, for design, we want to leverage that.
As we watch the car evolve, we see the themes coming out. We see the car move towards its production shape.
We left no stone unturned. We were constantly asking ourselves, could we make something newer, better, more unique? You know, it still had to have the feel and look and maintain the brand Corvette, but you know, we had to do it in a new and unique way.
When I come in and see the sculptors and designers and engineers working around the clay model, stepping back, it's like watching a symphony orchestra with the interplay between all the different people to create a unique personality, a character, a soul for a vehicle that people will absolutely resonate with and love.
If you are one of those who like and enjoy driving, you owe it to yourself to try this car.